Welcome, 8th graders. Today we're jumping right into an explainer that is honestly going to unlock a total secret weapon for your academic success this year. We are going to use the incredible power of reflection to help you become a stronger, more focused, and way more intentional reader. I'm super excited to guide you through this because learning how to take a step back and evaluate your own habits, well, that's a skill that will serve you not just in language arts, but in literally every single subject you tackle, from algebra all the way to history. So let's dive right in.
But hey, before we start talking about books and study habits, we always want to ground our lesson in absolute truth. 2 Corinthians 13:5a tells us, "Examine yourselves to see whether you are in the faith. Test yourselves." Now, just as this beautiful scripture teaches us to intentionally examine our spiritual lives and our hearts, today we're going to hold a mirror up to our academic habits to see what's actually working. Self-reflection is a totally biblical principle, and it is exactly what we need to grow as learners.
Okay, here's our game plan for today's lesson. We'll cover the power of reflection, spotting your reading patterns, upgrading your reading environment, setting new reading goals, and finally, we'll talk about what it means to be a godly learner. Let's start with part 1, the power of reflection, looking back to move forward.
Now, looking back to move forward might sound a little backwards at first, but think about driving a car for a second. You have a massive windshield to see exactly where you're going, right? But you absolutely have to check your rearview mirror to drive safely and understand what's behind you. Education is kind of the same way. Reflection acts just like that mirror. It helps you identify your strengths as a reader, and it helps you spot when bad habits are holding you back. Like, maybe you always try to read late at night. You finally crack open your book, but your brain is just totally fried from soccer practice, band rehearsal, and tons of homework. So naturally, you end up falling asleep right on the page after, 2 paragraphs? By actively looking in that rearview mirror, you can spot those roadblocks and plan real, actionable improvements for your future reading.
Moving on to part 2, spotting your reading patterns, analyzing your reading log.
The amazing thing is, the data to improve is already right there in your hands. You've been keeping track of your reading, and now it's time to put on your detective hat and look for clues about your own behavior. The very first question you need to ask yourself is exactly when you sit down to read. Are you a morning reader, maybe an after-school reader, or do you try to squeeze it in right before your head hits the pillow? Once you pinpoint the when, you have to honestly evaluate if that time of day is truly giving you the best results. Look, as an 8th grader, you've got a whole lot competing for your energy. Between group chats, sports, and heavy study sessions, your mental battery drains incredibly fast. If you're trying to read when that battery is already at 1%, you simply are not going to get the most out of your reading time.
Next up, ask yourself, which books did I finish quickly and why? Think about what you're truly passionate about. You might notice a pretty clear pattern where you completely devour a fast-paced adventure novel in just 3 days, but then it takes you a full month to trudge through a historical biography. Recognizing what genres capture your imagination helps you understand your own interests. And hey, it is totally okay to have preferences. We all do. But recognizing this also highlights the areas where you might need to, intentionally build up your reading muscles for tougher, denser genres as you get ready for high school. On the flip side, we have to look at the tough stuff. Which books did you abandon and why? You have got to be completely honest with yourself about the books you just gave up on. Was the vocabulary way too advanced? Was the plot moving at a snail's pace? It is so important to remember that acting like a detective here means viewing abandoned books as data, not as a failure. There is absolutely no shame in putting a book down, but understanding exactly why you abandoned it helps you figure out what genres or writing styles are frustrating you right now, and that allows you to make much smarter, more strategic choices the next time you hit the library. All right, part 3, upgrading your reading environment. Where you read matters.
We've talked about the when and the what, but now we really need to focus on the where. Your physical space matters tremendously. Where you read completely changes how well you read. Just picture this. You're trying to read a really complex history chapter, but your younger siblings are playing loud video games in the living room, and the TV is blaring in the background. Guys, your brain is working double time just to filter out all that noise and visual distraction before it can even process a single word on the page. If you simply switch your environment to a quiet desk in your room or a peaceful corner away from the chaos, it's a literal game changer. You'll not only finish your reading faster, but you might actually find yourself enjoying the book.
Let's look at part 4, setting new reading goals, making practical adjustments. Once you've reflected on your habits, spotted your patterns, and evaluated your environment, it is time to take real action. Because let's be real, reflection without action doesn't actually lead to growth. So we're going to follow 3 super simple steps. Step 1,
Identify a habit to change. Step 2, choose a small adjustment. Step 3, try it this week. And listen carefully to this part. You do not need to completely overhaul your entire life overnight. Start ridiculously small. For instance, if you noticed you're always too tired at night to focus, make the choice to read for just 10 minutes in the morning while you eat your cereal instead of trying to force it right before bed. These incredibly small adjustments are exactly what lead to massive victories over time.
Then, once you master those small, everyday adjustments, it's time to really stretch your brain. I want you to challenge yourself to try a new genre or a more challenging text next month. What genre intimidates you the most? Is it dense historical fiction? Maybe complex sci-fi? If you only ever read fantasy novels, try setting a goal to read just one nonfiction book about a topic you love. Keep a running list of future books you want to conquer. Stepping out of your comfort zone and challenging yourself, that is exactly where real intellectual growth happens.
So to make sure we're putting all of this into practice, here is your homework. Grab your notebooks and write down these 5 tasks. Number 1, write down 2 reading habits you are really proud of. Number 2, identify 2 habits you know you want to improve. Number 3, describe exactly what your ideal reading environment looks like. Number 4, identify a type of book you just haven't read in a while. And number 5, set one brand new reading goal for next week. Doing this is how you practically apply that mirror of reflection to your own life.
Finally, Part 5, The Godly Learner, Wisdom and Choices.
Now, let's look at how becoming a better, more focused reader connects directly to our ultimate goal here at HeroesMart Academy. Learning how to read well is absolutely important, but gaining the wisdom to know what to actually do with that knowledge is even more critical. Here at HeroesMart Academy, we purposefully intertwine biblical morality with education. Why? Because education without morality can actually hurt. Having a whole bunch of facts in your head doesn't automatically make you a righteous person. Knowledge and intelligence shouldn't simply make you more capable, they should actively help you make wise, God-honoring choices in every single area of your life.
Romans chapter 8, verses 6 and 7 teach us a crucial lesson. It says that keeping the mind spiritually minded leads to life and peace. If we only focus on earthly things, just building up our own carnal desires, our minds actually become an enemy to God's wisdom and we miss the point entirely. Keeping our minds firmly centered on Him is the anchor we desperately need. It's what turns our studying, our reading, and all our academic effort into a true act of worship.
So, as you adjust your environment and set your new goals this week, I want to leave you with this final thought. Ask yourself, how will you pursue academic excellence today while keeping your mind centered on God, truth, wisdom, and righteous choices? Remember, you aren't just reading to pass a language arts test. You are building a mind equipped to honor God in the real world. Go out there and pursue excellence this week.